My name is Odilia Winslow, 30 years old. Ohio summer pours through the kitchen window, a warm blade of light that lands on the granite like a spotlight I didn't ask for. I stand at the counter and finish crimping the edge of a cherry pie, fingers working a pattern my hands learned years before my voice did. The oven door exhales when I slide the pie in. Behind me, the living room murmurs with the low drone of baseball announcers, Dad's occasional grunt at a bad call, Mom's footsteps chasing a giggling 4-year-old. "Careful with that vase," she calls. "Ashley, can you please watch the girls?" My sister doesn't answer. Her phone does. "Ladies, this shawl is 100% cashmere. VIP members. Comment to claim," Ashley trills. Live stream voice, bright enough to bounce off the ceiling. The roasted chicken needs 10 more minutes to rest. The salad waits in the refrigerator, dressing on the side like I know Mom prefers. I wipe my hands on the dish towel at my waist and speak into the room without trying to compete with anyone. "I got a promotion, senior clinical specialist. They're transferring me to the Raleigh office." The baseball game continues. Ashley's sales pitch doesn't blink. Mom speeds by the doorway with a damp rag and the air of someone always a second behind chaos. No one looks up. I wait a beat, then another, as if the words might gather shape in the silence and finally be noticed. The timer ticks. I turn it off and plate the chicken, steam curling into the quiet. We sit at the dining table, whose every scratch has a family story. There's one near my usual seat, a faint crescent I've buffed at holidays and Sundays, never quite able to erase. The food looks like a magazine spread: golden skin, blistered tomatoes, warm rolls, the pie cooling. "This looks wonderful," Dad says to no one, already cutting into the breast meat. "Mom, Lily won't eat her vegetables," Ashley complains, eyelids low as she answers customers with her thumb. "Odilia, can you cut Lily's chicken into little pieces?" Mom asks, not bothering to look at me while she checks Ashley's phone screen. "How are sales going, honey?" "The position comes with a 15% raise and a relocation bonus," I say, slicing the chicken into tiny squares, arranging them like a mosaic for a child who isn't mine. 2,000 already, Ashley finally announces, lifting her chin. "That's wonderful," Mom beams, turning that warm, rare smile toward my sister. "Smart business move going online," Dad adds. Heat seeps into my fingertips from the meat, but my chest feels refrigerated, a hollowed-out space where the good news should have landed. Mom turns to me only to say, "There's a spill by the sink. Would you mind?" I mop it, serve the pie, wash the dishes. When Ashley's youngest drops a fork, I'm there before the tears. When Dad asks for coffee with a grunt, I pour without being asked. This is our rhythm. They gesture, I anticipate. They overlook, I erase the evidence. The pattern stretches back farther than today. Last Christmas, I wrapped Ashley's inventory while she went to parties. 3 months ago, I used vacation days to watch the kids so she could attend a fashion expo. 2 weeks after that, I drove Mom to 5 stores to find the exact drapes for Ashley's living room. "Ashley has the kids," Mom said when I dared to ask about the imbalance. "She needs more help than you do. And I, apparently, need to be needed." After lunch, while Ashley restarts her sales stream and Mom takes the girls shopping, I sit at the counter and type into the family group chat. "Got my official transfer paperwork today. Moving to Raleigh, NC on the 15th. Promotion to senior clinical specialist. Very excited for this opportunity. Send." Little gray names mark each read: Mom, Dad, Ashley. The phone stays quiet. I drive home at dusk, hope tapping on my ribs, when a notification pings at my door. Mom has sent a photo. The girls eating leftover pie, faces streaked pink. Caption: "Someone couldn't wait for dessert." Ashley follows with a screenshot of her sales total. "New record!" I turn the phone face down and let 2 tears run without the indignity of wiping them. Packing begins like a private rebellion. Cardboard breath, the rip of tape, the careful folding of a life into boxes with labels I write for myself, for once. The last box slides into the U-Haul with a satisfying thunk. My apartment echoes behind me, an exoskeleton I'm finally ready to shed. Mom's text arrives without ceremony. Come home Saturday to watch Kids for Your Sister. Special live stream event. I stare at the glow of the screen against the truck's metal, then type what is, perhaps, the first boundary of my adult life. I can't. I'm going to North Carolina today. I don't add sorry. The engine rumbles awake. The highway accepts me. Mile markers unfurl like a rosary I've prayed too long. Ohio flattens, then lifts into the green ribs of West Virginia. Memory stacks itself on the miles. My 8th birthday, hustled outside for cake, because Ashley, 12 then, had friends over occupying the living room. High school graduation, Dad leaving halfway through to pick up Ashley from a failed interview, missing my honor society moment. College graduation, the family late and distracted by Ashley's breakup. The first promotion dinner I paid for, while Mom spent the evening scrolling apartments for my sister. Not isolated incidents I see now, but a repeating architectural plan. Widen every hallway for Ashley. Put my doors on quiet hinges. I stop for gas near a billboard shouting a mortgage offer, and the number pricks something under my skin. Money has sounded different at our table lately. Mom's offhand line at lunch floats back. We've all had to tighten our belts since Ashley's boutique launch. Her way of making a confession sound like a weather report. I swallow the thought with gas station coffee that tastes like cardboard and hope. By the time the Virginia border sign flickers past, Mom finally texts, "What do you mean you're going to North Carolina?" The screen waits for my answer. So does a part of me that's always sprinted to fill the silence first. I let both wait. The radio serves up Billy Joel telling me I'm moving out, and I laugh out loud at the unsubtle kindness of it. The Raleigh air is softer when night drops me into it, as if the humidity itself has decided to be on my side. The temporary apartment smells like paint and possibility. I toss my overnight bag on the bed and fall beside it, shoes still on. For the first time in 28 years, no one knows exactly where I am. The thought thrums through me like electricity, terrifying, liberating, a wave that doesn't need permission to reach shore. Morning finds me learning the shape of cabinets in the dark. By the 3rd week, the barista knows my order. My feet memorize the fastest route to work. I buy a rug I like because I like it, not because it fits someone else's idea of taste. On Sunday evening, my phone lights up with another group message from Mom. Family party this weekend. Aunt Susan turning 60. Come early to set the table, help with kids. The old weight taps my sternum with 2 fingers, testing for weakness. I don't respond. Saturday passes in the name of simple rebellions, alphabetizing books, putting framed photos of places, not people, on the walls, cooking a small dinner just for me. At 3:17 p.m., Mom texts, puffy with performative outrage. "Where are you? Everyone's asking." Dad adds, "We saved you cherry pie." Ashley. Hit $2,000 again. The real message arrives at 5:42 p.m., sharp as a thrown plate. I never thought you'd be this selfish. After everything we've done for you. Your sister had to handle the kids while I cooked. Your father had to move the tables. You've let the entire family down. I call instead of texting because some things deserve the sound of a voice to carve their shape. Mom answers on the first ring. Finally decided to acknowledge your responsibilities? I moved to North Carolina almost a month ago, I say, steady. I told everyone. I sent messages. I can't come set tables in Ohio anymore. Well, you could have reminded us. She sniffs. Your sister was very disappointed. I'm sorry she was disappointed, I say, because the sentence costs me nothing. How was Aunt Susan's party? Hectic, she replies, and spends 5 minutes narrating how my absence created friction, how Dad had to, how Ashley had to, how she had to. She does not ask about my apartment, or my job, or whether I'm sleeping. The new position is going well, I offer anyway, like an olive branch I made from paper. I'm learning a lot. That's nice, dear. Listen, Ashley's expanding her boutique and needs some startup money. Since you got that raise, we thought, I have to go, I say, gentle as a door closing. Someone's at the door. I hang up before she can tidy the conversation back into the shape she prefers. In the thick, expensive silence that follows, something inside me clicks into a new position. Not anger, not even sadness. Clarity. I have been auditioning for a role that was never written for me, confusing being useful with being loved. I look at my phone, waiting for guilt to pour down my throat like bad medicine. It doesn't. The air in the room feels lighter, as if the landlord finally fixed a window that was painted shut for years. I make tea. I stand at my own counter and take the first sip, heat traveling into my chest. The first night in Ohio, I cooked a cherry pie without tasting any of it. Tonight, in a small Raleigh kitchen that smells faintly of new beginnings, I taste everything. Tomorrow is unknown, but for once, it feels like it's mine. The mornings in Raleigh come slow and gold. Sunlight filters through sheer curtains, touching the edge of my kitchen counter. The same counter where I leave my keys, my coffee mug, my proof that life can be quiet and still belong to me. 3 weeks have passed since I crossed the Virginia border. I've learned that if I walk 2 blocks north, there's a cafe that remembers my order. Medium roast, oat milk, 1 pump of hazelnut. The barista writes E on the lid now, smiling like I'm part of some small ritual. For the first time in my life, no one texts me a list of errands before I finish breakfast. Work feels different too. My new office hums with a low, professional rhythm that doesn't bleed into personal obligation. I leave at 5, and no one follows me home in the form of a guilt-laced call. When I lock my apartment door at night, the click is final. No interruptions, no, since you're free this weekend favors disguised as affection. On my second Friday here, I find myself at the dog park down the street. The air smells like pine and cut grass. That's where Toby, my curly brown poodle, impulsively adopted 2 days after the move, meets Benji the beagle. And where I meet Jackson. He's standing near the fence, dark hair streaked with early gray, eyes steady. There she is, he says when Toby darts toward me, tongue lolling, tail high. Benji thought you might have stood us up for an emergency appendectomy or something. His voice is warm, teasing. I laugh. And miss watching these two audition for the Olympics? Never. The dogs tumble together in a blur of fur and dust. I glance at Jackson. You're a doctor? Engineer. Rehabilitation tech. I build things that help people move again. He tilts his head. You? Medical devices. Clinical liaison. His eyebrows lift in quiet appreciation. So we both fix people, just on different ends of the line. The conversation flows like a creek, gentle, unhurried, full of small reflections. For once, I don't feel the need to over-explain myself. When we part, he says, same time tomorrow? And I realize I want to say yes without overthinking what that might mean. The next week folds into a pattern. Work, coffee, Toby's morning jog, late afternoons at the park. Jackson always brings a thermos of tea, always wears the same battered leather watch. He listens more than he talks, and when he looks at me, I never feel like I'm being measured against someone else's need. 3 weeks later, my cousin Ashlyn shows up at my door, 22, full of restless road trip energy, backpack slung over one shoulder. This place is gorgeous, she says, eyes sweeping across my living room. It's so you. Her tone carries no judgment, only genuine admiration. I hand her a glass of wine, still amused that someone from my family remembers I exist. It took a while to make it feel like home, I admit, but I think I finally did it. We spend the evening trading stories, her cross-country adventures, my cautious steps into independence. Toby sprawls across her lap as we eat pasta carbonara at the coffee table. You seem happy, she says between bites. Like, actually happy, not the version you used to fake during Christmas dinners. I smile into my glass. I am, I tell her, and I mean it. Work's good. I have friends. There's someone. Jackson. It feels strange to say his name aloud in my space, like adding a new word to an old language. He seems great, Ashlyn says. You deserve someone steady. Later, she snaps a photo of the room for her travel blog. Mind if I post it? She asks. It's got the perfect lighting. I wave a hand. Go ahead. She types quickly, smiling at the caption. At my cousin Odilia's home, she built a life worth admiring. The next morning, my phone won't stop buzzing. Notifications pour in like hail. Ashlyn's post has spread across the extended family network. Mom comments first. So proud of how well our Odilia is doing. The same woman who didn't answer a single text when I left. Aunts and uncles chime in, suddenly amazed by my success. Then Ashlyn shows me a private message on her phone, brows furrowed. "You should see this," she says, handing it over. "It's from Ashley to Mom. Did you see her place? Looks expensive. You should ask how she's affording it. Maybe she can help with the situation." I feel the familiar chill of understanding, how quickly curiosity turns into calculation in our family. I take a slow sip of coffee, watching the steam twist upward. "They haven't changed," Ashlyn says quietly. "No," I answer. "They just found a new angle." She looks ready to defend me, to post some public rebuttal, but I stop her with a small shake of my head. "Don't bother. They'll reach out soon enough." That night, after she leaves for her hostel, I sit on the balcony with Toby curled at my feet. The air hums with cicadas and possibility. My phone vibrates once, twice, 3 times. Messages light up the screen like a slot machine. "Mom. How have you been, honey? Your father and I miss you so much." Ashley. "So happy you're doing well. The condo looks amazing." Before I can process the sudden affection, another message lands like a verdict. "We already booked flights. Arriving tomorrow at noon. The kids can't wait to see their aunt." My heart jolts, half disbelief, half dread. After 2 years of silence, they're flying to me uninvited, parachuting back into my life because a photograph made it look profitable. I reread the message 3 times, as if the words might soften. They don't. I call Jackson. He answers on the second ring, voice calm, grounding. "Hey," he says. "What's going on?" "They're coming," I tell him, barely above a whisper. "Tomorrow, all of them." He's silent for a moment. "That's sudden." "Very." "What are you thinking?" I look around my apartment, the framed travel photos, the plant I haven't managed to kill, the simple proof of a life I built without permission. "I think they wouldn't be coming if Ashlyn hadn't posted that picture," I say finally. "Probably not," he agrees, "but maybe it's a chance." "A chance for what?" "For you to see them on your terms," he says softly. "If you're ready." The words settle in my chest like a challenge. 2 years ago, I would have been panicking, scrambling to clean, to prepare, to please. Now I stand up, set my wine glass in the sink, and look around the apartment again. Everything is already in order. Nothing needs rearranging to earn approval. "They're coming into my world now," I say, and this time I make the rules. That night I barely sleep. Not from fear, something sharper, colder, control. I imagine them stepping through my door, eyes darting from furniture to floor, measuring worth in square footage and polish. They won't find the person they left behind. I've learned to breathe without their oxygen. Morning brings sunlight and the quiet whir of the coffee machine. I arrange fresh flowers on the table, not for them, but for me. I polish the silver teapot, set out cups that match. Toby sits at my feet, watching as if sensing the electricity in the air. "They'll be here soon," I tell him. He tilts his head, unbothered. By noon, everything gleams. My life looks exactly how I built it. Calm, deliberate, self-contained. I smooth the last wrinkle from the couch cushion and check the clock. 12:15. Right on cue, the doorbell rings. I wait 10 full seconds before opening the door. Not out of spite, but because control feels like a luxury I intend to keep. I open the door to a wall of perfume and urgency. "Odilia!" Mom presses forward with a hug so tight I can feel the bones in her wrists. "Oh, sweetheart, it's been too long." Dad hangs back, a bakery box balanced in his hands, like a peace offering he doesn't know how to make. "Hey, kiddo," he mutters, doing the one-armed hug that lands somewhere between apology and habit. Ashley follows, smile airbrushed, eyes scanning the room as if she's walking into an open house. Her daughters slip past all of us, in a blur of neon sneakers and breathless curiosity. "Your place is gorgeous," Ashley says, air-kissing my cheek. "The girls are so excited to see their aunt." The girls who couldn't pick me out of a crowd 2 Christmases ago because Aunt Odilia always stood behind a sink. "We brought cake," Mom announces, taking the box from Dad. "Chocolate, your favorite." "Thank you." I take it, set it on the kitchen island. "Tea?" I ask, already reaching for the polished silver pot I laid out this morning. Toby paces, intrigued by the visitors, then sits in his dignified way by the pantry, like a maitre d' waiting to seat a party. The television snaps on behind me. Dad has found the sports channel with the ease of a homing pigeon. The announcer's voice becomes an undercurrent to the clink of ceramic and the thud of tiny sneakers. "Girls," I call evenly, as one of them picks up the crystal paperweight Jackson gave me for my birthday. "Please put that back where you found it." "They're just exploring," Ashley laughs, thin and high. Thin and high. "In my home," I say, kind but firm, "we don't touch what doesn't belong to us." The child freezes, places the paperweight down with exaggerated care, and then drifts toward the sofa. In the kitchen, Mom runs a proprietary finger along my countertop. "Granite," she notes. "Must have cost a fortune." Disapproval coils inside her compliment like wire. "I like my home," I answer, pouring hot water over black tea leaves. Steam curls upward, visible even in the noon light. I sweeten mine with a drip of honey, leave theirs untouched. Ashley leans against the doorframe, thumbs worrying at her phone like they're looking for purchase. "So," she says lightly, "clinical liaison. Sounds fancy? What's the salary range these days?" Her eyes stay on my face while she pretends to glance at a notification. "Competitive," I say, lifting the tray. She follows me to the living room. "Do you get bonuses? 401 match? Stock options?" Her voice is polite, but the questions fall with a metronome's precision. "The benefits are excellent." I set the cups down, pass plates. "Milk or lemon?" "Lemon," Mom says, as if this is a test I could still fail. I steer conversation away from the audit. "Dad, how's the youth baseball league?" Dad straightens. "We took the under-10s to regionals," he says, pride loosening his face. For 10 minutes, we talk about batting stances and volunteer schedules, about a cousin's baby and Mom's garden club. Each minute that doesn't revolve around my bank balance tightens Ashley's smile another degree. When her oldest bumps the coffee table, water spills from the vase onto the wood. I catch it with a towel before it reaches the photo books. "Girls," I say, kneeling to their level. "In this house, we sit on furniture, no jumping, here." I hand each a slim children's book from my shelf. "These were my favorites when I was your age." Mom blinks at me, startled. She's not used to me being the one to set the terms. "You've changed," she says softly, and I can't tell whether it's admiration or accusation. "Yes," I answer, "I have." The opening gambits conclude. We move into the phase I expected. The reason for their trip dressed up as small talk. Mom's sigh is practiced, her eyes a study in sympathy. "Odilia, sweetheart," she begins, hands folded like prayer. "Ashley's been struggling." Ashley's chin trembles with rehearsed fragility. "After 5 years in retail, I finally opened my own boutique," she says. "We all believed, well, you know, the lease, the guarantor, it all spiraled." She swallows. "I signed a personal guarantee. The shop failed in 8 months. I owe $39,000 on the lease." The number lands between us like a brick. Dad sets his tea down, the clink louder than necessary. "We put some of our retirement towards startup costs," he says, not quite looking at me, "just to help her get going." Mom leans forward, imploring, "You're doing so well. We thought maybe you could sell this place and—" "Sell my home?" I repeat level. "For the girls," Ashley says, finding courage. Her eyes flick to her daughters on the sofa, small faces bent over pages. "They need stability. I'm barely sleeping." "We're not asking for a handout," Mom adds quickly. "Just a bridge. Family helps family." I hold my cup to anchor my hands. A ridiculous memory unspools without permission. A crisp envelope in a desk drawer from my senior year of high school. A bank logo. "College fund," Mom had said offhandedly when I was 12. One of those facts we never revisited. When the time came, I got partial scholarships. The rest, she said, we'll manage month to month. I believed her. Why is that envelope here now, rising from the silt of my brain? Because the number $39,000 glints like a coin dropped years ago. "Mom," I say, voice gentle but precise, "did you ever set up a custodial college account for me when I was younger?" She startles, then smooths it away. "Oh, that old thing," she laughs lightly. "It hardly covered anything. We folded it into the household when things got tight." "When things got tight?" I echo. Dad watches the television too hard. "Which things?" I ask. Mom's eyes flicker to Ashley, then back to me. There were a lot of needs over the years. A picture clicks into place, not melodramatic, not even explosive, just devastatingly tidy. The college fund amnestied into the household. The household funneling toward one chronic emergency. Ashley's emergencies that were also opportunities. Suddenly, my 20-hour shifts in the dining hall, my extra loans, my quiet shame at asking for textbook money, all of that tilts under a new light. Okay, I say, setting my cup down. One word, soft as felt. The room seems to breathe differently at that single syllable. Ashley mistakes my quiet for capitulation. I'll pay you back, she rushes to add. Eventually, once I relaunch online, the traffic is there. I just need... Dad clears his throat. Your mother and I won't be around forever, he says, deploying a line I've heard as a closing argument since childhood. Is this how you want things to be? I look at each of them. Mom's fear of sliding status. Dad's avoidance dressed as paternal gravitas. Ashley's optimism that has always been someone else's subsidy. I catalog them not as villains, but as people whose needs have written over mine like carbon paper. I hear that you're scared, I say to Mom. That you're tired, to Dad. And that you're desperate, to Ashley. But selling my home won't fix a pattern. Mom leans in, voice catching. We wouldn't ask if it weren't serious. I believe you, I say. Then what's there to think about? Ashley snaps, mask slipping. We're family. The word sits there, heavy, overused. Family, I say. To me, that means care without coercion. Respect without conditions. I stand because I need my spine to remember it knows how. I won't make a decision today. I let the sentence rest. If I decide to help at all, it won't be by selling my home, and it would require agreements, no discussions about my finances, no unannounced visits, no triangulating through cousins or social media, and, I look at Mom, acknowledgement that my college fund was used without my knowledge, and that this won't happen again to anyone. Mom opens her mouth, closes it. She looks down at her hands like they might tell her the right thing to say. Agreements? Ashley repeats, incredulous. Like a contract? With your own family? Yes, I say, exactly like that. Silence expands. Even the announcer on TV sounds far away. I walk to the door, place my hand on the knob, but don't turn it yet. I'm not shutting you out, I say. I'm setting the only conditions under which I can have a relationship with you. Mom rises, cheeks wet. The tears aren't theatrical this time. They look messy, unplanned. We did use that account, she whispers. We told ourselves it was temporary. Then it wasn't. I am sorry. Something inside me softens at the specificity. Not enough to open the floodgates. Enough to believe change is possible in theory, not on credit. Dad stands awkwardly, caught without a script. Ashley looks at me like I've stepped off the map and dragged the border with me. I'll think about what help looks like, I say, but I won't undo my life to do it. Ashley gathers her girls, her voice brittle. I didn't think you'd become so cold. I didn't become cold, I answer, opening the door to the bright hall. I became clear. They leave in a small, confused procession. Mom squeezes my hand once, a pulse of gratitude or need. I can't tell which. The door clicks shut behind them with a softness that feels like strength. I stand in the entryway, listening to the quiet reassemble itself. The room exhales. Toby pads over and leans against my leg like a period at the end of the sentence. I stroke his head and let the stillness prove what it has been trying to prove for months now. Peace isn't empty. It's full of everything you finally stopped giving away. The next morning, the apartment feels impossibly still. Sunlight stretches across the hardwood like an apology that came too late. The air smells faintly of tea and tension, the remnants of yesterday's performance still clinging to the walls. I make coffee and sit by the window, watching Toby chase a dust mote in the light. He's oblivious to family politics. All he knows is warmth, consistency, and breakfast at 8 Honta. There's something holy in that simplicity. By noon, my phone vibrates again. First once, then repeatedly, like a heartbeat that refuses to slow. Messages stack up like a deck of guilt cards. Mom. We didn't mean to upset you, Dad. You know your mother gets emotional, Ashley. If you'd just loan me part of it, we could settle the debt before interest rises. I read them once, then put the phone face down. I don't reply. For the first time, silence feels like participation, not in their chaos, but in my own peace. Days pass. The messages keep coming. Please turn into apologies, then back into blame, looping through the usual emotional cycle like a carousel of manipulation. Aunts start checking in. Cousins I haven't spoken to in years send cheerful hellos laced with curiosity. I keep my responses brief, polite, distant. I'm doing well, thank you. Glad to hear from you. Nevermore. At work, my manager calls me into her office to discuss a new opportunity. Regional director. I should feel nervous. I don't. You've earned it, she says. Leadership suits you. It's strange how calm I feel signing the offer letter. The version of me from 2 years ago would have called home the moment it was official, seeking validation like air. Now, I just close the document, exhale, and look out the window. That night, Jackson comes over. He doesn't knock immediately. 2 gentle taps, then silence until I answer. Toby barrels to the door, tail in full metronome mode. You okay? Jackson asks, scanning my face like he always does. I heard the storm before I even saw the clouds. I smile faintly. They've been calling, texting. The whole network's awake again. He steps inside, setting down a grocery bag that smells faintly of garlic and rosemary. I brought dinner, something simple. We move around my kitchen like we've rehearsed it 100 times. He chopping vegetables, me stirring sauce, our movements quiet, coordinated. The sound of sizzling fills the air, and I find myself describing the visit in small, factual pieces. The questions, the debt, the old college fund. Jackson listens without interruption, his knife moving through zucchini with surgeon-like precision. You did what was right for you, he says when I finish. I know, I reply, but it's strange. I expected to feel guilty. And? I don't, not even a little. He smiles softly. That's how you know it's growth, not rebellion. After dinner, we sit on the porch. The night hums with crickets and faraway laughter from a neighbor's barbecue. Toby and Benji tumble in the grass, a mess of paws and contentment. I rest my head against Jackson's shoulder, the quiet stretching comfortably between us. I've been thinking, I say finally, about what comes next. In general or about them? Both. He doesn't move, doesn't interrupt. It's one of the things I love about him. His patience is not silence born of disinterest, but space given freely. I want to send them something, I say. Not money, a letter, terms. Jackson raises an eyebrow. Terms? Yes. I take a slow breath. If they ever want a relationship again, these are the conditions. No discussion of my finances, no surprise visits, no triangulating through relatives, and, my throat tightens slightly, an acknowledgement that what they did with my college fund was wrong. He nods once. Boundaries written down. That's clarity, not cruelty. I'm not sure I'll send it, I admit. Maybe it's enough just to have it written. You'll know when it's time, he says. The next day I write it. Simple, direct, typed in black ink on white paper. Not angry, not emotional, just clear. I fold it neatly and place it in an envelope without an address. It sits on my desk for a week, gathering the kind of dust that means nothing urgent has been broken. Emails continue to arrive. Ashley's shifting between pleading and indignation. You're my sister, not my enemy. Then another. The boutique's closing. The kids are devastated. Mom adds her own notes, heavy with nostalgia. Remember when you used to bake cherry pie for your father? We miss those days. I let them pile up. Sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. Either way, they no longer carry authority. 2 weeks after the visit, Mom calls. The first time, I let it go to voicemail. The second, I answer. Her voice is smaller than I remember. Odilia, she says, like testing the shape of my name. I owe you an apology. We all do. I wait. We shouldn't have come that way, she continues. We shouldn't have asked you to fix what we broke. You were right to set boundaries. I didn't see how much we took from you until you stopped giving. For a moment, I can't speak. The sincerity in her tone disorients me. It's the sound of someone realizing they can't rearrange the narrative anymore. I appreciate that, I say finally. I need time. Of course, she says quickly. Whatever you need. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, we'd like to try again, on your terms. It's the first time she's said those words, on your terms. When we hang up, I don't cry. I just breathe. Deep, even, steady. That evening, I meet Jackson and our friends at the lake. The sun sinks low, staining the water amber. Toby and Benji chase the reflection of light until they collapse in the grass. Jackson hands me a cold drink, his fingers brushing mine. "You look lighter," he says. "I think I am." "What happened?" My mother apologized. He raises his eyebrows, surprised. "For real?" "For real. I didn't know what to do with it, so I said I'd think about it." "That sounds like you," he says with a small grin. Measured, clear. We sit in silence for a long time, the kind that doesn't need to be filled. Around us, laughter rises from the dock, the sound of uncomplicated joy. I realize I've built something like family here, one chosen deliberately, piece by piece. As the sky deepens into violet, I pull out my phone and open my photo gallery. There's one picture from my old life I still keep, the dining table back in Ohio, the faint scratch near my seat catching the light. I used to try to polish it away. Now I understand it's proof of use, of survival, of imperfection that doesn't need hiding. I scroll past it to newer images. Toby covered in lake mud, Jackson squinting at the sun, my team at work celebrating a successful launch. These are my new archives. Later that night, back home, the apartment glows in soft lamplight. I take the unsigned letter from my desk, read it one last time, then slide it into a drawer. I may never send it. I may never need to. Because peace, I've learned, isn't about who says sorry first. It's about knowing what you'll never apologize for again. As I pour a cup of tea, the phone rings once more. Mom's name flashes on the screen. I don't rush to answer. I let it ring twice, 3 times. Then I pick it up, not out of obligation, but choice. "Hi, Mom," I say, my voice steady. There's a pause on her end. "Hi, sweetheart." We don't talk long. We don't need to. The air feels lighter, measured, careful, the way new beginnings always are. Later, on the balcony, the city glimmers like quiet forgiveness. Toby curls against my feet, sighing contentedly. I whisper into the evening air, almost to myself. For the first time in my life, I'm not holding my breath. The words drift out over the skyline and disappear, soft as peace.